On the night of March 31st, 2012, a 21-year-old Kenyan mother named Agnes Wanjiru went out with soldiers in the small town of Nanyuki. Weeks later, her body was found, not in a field, not in a forest, but wrapped and dumped in a septic tank behind a hotel where she had been last seen. For more than a decade, the case produced whispers, leaks, and accusations. Now, in 2025, a Kenyan court has issued an arrest warrant, and a former British soldier has been named and charged. This is the story of Agnes, the long fight for answers, and the legal and political tug-of-war that could become one of the most consequential cross-border military justice cases of our era. If you're new here, this is Raw Reality. Today we're unpacking every known fact about the case of Agnes Wanjiru, the timeline, the leaks, the witnesses, the evidence, and the legal battle that may now bring a British national to answer for a murder in Kenya. If you want thorough, sourced true crime reporting, subscribe, like, and ring the bell. Share this video with anyone who cares about accountability. Agnes Wanjiru was 21 in 2012. She was a hairdresser, a mother, and a resident of Nanyuki, a market town close to a British military training base known as BATUK, the British Army Training Unit Kenya. Friends and family describe a young woman building her life and a child left behind by her death. Her disappearance and the way her body was later discovered provoked shock and pain in her community and, eventually, international outrage. Nanyuki houses personnel from BATUK, which runs training for UK forces in Kenya. On March 31st, 2012, Agnes was last seen leaving a bar or night spot in Nanyuki with a group of British soldiers. Weeks later, her body was discovered in a septic tank behind a hotel. Near that same area, police records and press reporting show the body had multiple wounds, and investigations suggested she had been assaulted. From 2012, the case stalled in many ways. Locals and family pressed for answers. In 2018 and later, press investigations, notably by UK outlets, unearthed leaked screenshots and private messages from soldiers that raised disturbing questions. The story re-entered public view again in 2021 and beyond, when investigations and witness testimony forced Kenyan authorities to reopen inquiries. Screenshots from a private soldier Facebook group surfaced, with mocking and incriminating posts. They helped re-energize the inquiry. March-April 2012, disappearance and discovery. 2012 to 2018, local investigations, limited arrests. 2018 to 2021, renewed media attention and leaked group messages. 2021 to 2025, witnesses come forward, Kenyan prosecutors build case. September 2025, Kenyan High Court issues an arrest warrant, suspect named in press as Robert James Purkiss. On or around the 16th of September 2025, Kenya's High Court issued an arrest warrant for a British national, and on the 21st of September 2025, multiple UK and Kenyan outlets named him as Robert James Purkiss, a former soldier originally from Greater Manchester, who served as a medic in the Duke of Lancaster's regiment. Served in the British Army 2006 to 2016. As reported, the naming followed a process in Kenya where prosecutors presented evidence to a judge who found there was sufficient, probable cause to issue the warrant. Kenyan reporting says investigators relied on witness testimony, some statements from soldiers, and the earlier media revelations to identify a suspect. What are the charges and where will the case be tried? Kenyan court documents accuse Purkiss of a single count of murder for the night of March 31st, 2012. Practically speaking, carrying this case forward depends on an extradition process. Kenya has requested the arrest and extradition of a British national. Under UK law, extradition of a UK citizen to face charges overseas involves judicial hearings and a final decision by the Home Secretary. A legal path that can be long and contested. Public reporting indicates the case rests on multiple strands. Witness testimony from soldiers and locals. The location and forensic findings from 2012, and corroborative material from later investigations, including digital materials that surfaced from private groups and inquiries. Kenyan prosecutors say at least 20 soldiers came forward as witnesses by mid-2025. which the Kenyan police say provided enough to recommend murder charges. As of this reporting, full evidentiary dossiers have not been publicly released in their entirety, and much of the material remains subject to legal process. Agnes's family has campaigned for justice for many years. The issuance of an arrest warrant and the naming of a suspect were described as a landmark development by the family and campaigners. Kenyan officials have said they will pursue the legal process. In Parliament and oversight committees, BATUK and the UK's presence in Kenya have faced tough questions. The UK government has acknowledged developments and said it will cooperate, while noting there are legal steps to follow. This case cannot be separated from the broader context. Long-standing allegations of misconduct by some British soldiers in Kenya. Over years, Batuk has faced accusations ranging from sexual exploitation to other abuses, generating local distrust and political scrutiny. The Wanjiru case became emblematic because of its brutality, the initial impasse, and the later leaked material that forced scrutiny. Even with an arrest warrant, extradition to Kenya of a British national is not automatic. The UK legal system will review whether the evidence meets extradition standards, whether human rights concerns exist, for example, fair trial, prison conditions, and whether a diplomatic or political factor is relevant. The Home Secretary's role and the possibility of domestic judicial challenges mean the process can stretch for months or even years. If extradition proceeds, trials in Kenya are likely to be non-jury sessions for serious cases, different from UK practice. Investigative journalism was central. Leaks and analysis pushed authorities back into action. Reporters from UK outlets and Kenyan media have unearthed material, interviewed witnesses, and pressured authorities. This case is an example of how press and advocacy groups can force legal systems to re-examine cold cases. This story raises ethical questions. How should militaries manage personnel under foreign deployments? What protections exist for local civilians? How should justice proceed when alleged perpetrators are nationals of a powerful partner country? And how should families be treated while cases drag on for years? Offer reflective commentary and call for careful reporting and respect for victims and legal due process. After more than a decade of questions, the issuing of an arrest warrant and the naming of a suspect bring Agnes's case back to the forefront. But naming a suspect is not the same as a conviction. What follows is a long, complex legal process that will test political will, international law, and the endurance of those who want justice. For Agnes and for her daughter and family, the hope is that answers finally come. Like this video if you want more deep dives like this. Comment below on what you think the UK-Kenya legal process will look like.